Well, like I said before the break, David Murdoch from Curling Canada is here, and he joins me now on the pregame show. Happy New Year, David.
Happy New Year.
It is an Olympic year.
A
How are
busy
you?
one.
Yes. How are you feeling? How's Team Canada feeling as the Olympics come into focus?
Yeah, I mean, obviously very busy. Had the trials, and that was, it took a lot out of every team, I think. And now we have our winners with our Jacobs and Homan there, and obviously, they need some recovery. It takes a lot out of you. It's such a big event, and what comes from that as well. And I think our teams have just had a time to, we've had an event in December, but probably too early one for them at that moment in time. And now, had some vacation, had some recovery, and now it's the build-up, right?
Yeah, well, Brad Jacobs told us on the post-game show he was on a cruise ship and flew right from Miami to here. What do you make of that, of getting away from the rink after such an emotional high? You saw that hangover at the Slam in Saskatoon, but to just get away, knowing that the Olympics are a month and a half away, I think it can be a good thing to step away sometimes.
I think everyone's so different.
Right.
And you look at these two teams, and they've had so much experience, they've been to the games, they understand it. And for Brad, I think he realised that, it's actually good to just have a little reset here. It's been super busy in the lead up. It took a lot out of all our teams, and you just want to deal with, being present with your family and getting some time because you know what's about to come, which is, again, very, very busy, and it's going to take a toll.
To the point of the Olympic trials hangover, history maybe for all the wrong reasons at the Slam. No Canadian team making it to the Slam semifinals. What does that represent to you, David? And should people panic?
Yeah, I don't think it's panic, no. I mean, I think we probably looked at that Slam from a Canadian lens and said, that's going to be tough. I mentioned the trials already. Motivation's going to be low. And that's just the reality. You've been working hard for 4 years to achieve one thing. And it either happens or it doesn't. And either way, you're going to be tired, and the enjoyment and emotion from that, or there's the stress of, like, what next? I've not achieved my goal. This is the end of a quad. For some, it could be potential retirement. It could be, investigating new teams. So there's a lot just within 2 weeks of a trials. That's quite hard to deal with. So that's just the reality of that event.
You bring such a unique and valuable perspective to curling in this country because you've come from a different country. You've won in Scotland, and there's a different model there. There's a model that has a high-performance training center in Stirling. I was there in May. It's brilliant.
Yep.
They're playing every day. They're training every day. There's chemistry. Do you think in this country we have valued that chemistry enough?
I think what we're starting to realize is that, we're seeing systems like this. We're seeing the SCOR system and what that's now produced. So I think for us, it's a bit of realization of, like, what are we willing to do to try and adapt to that? We're a huge country. We've got curlers all over. We're starting to build out, some regional performance centers. Is that something that in time will create that same type of environments? In the meantime, I think what we've got to try and do as athletes, and I've been communicating this too, is, like, how are we going to train more often as a team, between events as regular as possible?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to need to do. So that, those funds are there. Our coaches and staff are able to go to these places and help with the teams, but we're going to have to engage. We're going to have to look at this a little bit differently. This is the new reality of world curling.
Brilliant stuff. You have been to a number of Olympics. What are you feeling right now? As media, we love to build up these 100 days, 50 days, 30 days. I'm seeing the 1 month circulate around the socials. Where did you want to be, David, and where do our Canadian teams want to be right now, 1 month out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good spot. I mean, obviously you're looking at results, but ultimately we have to understand that, you've got to ride the waves a little bit, and we've been busy, and I think we've got to look at right now. Our preparations are good. We're ready to go to Italy. We're getting our staging camp ready, and our athletes are actually I think they're just ready to get in the plane. I
Yeah.
think that's where it's at. You know, we've got our event this week, fine-tuning a few things, getting back on the horse a little bit. We've had a break. But in terms of like where we're at, I think we're real good. I think we're comfortable. We've got a good plan in place. The athletes are up to speed about, you know, some of our operations and logistics. So, you know, I think now it's just let's get on that plane and let's go.
And let's go is right. And it's not like these teams don't have the experience, right? They are battle tested. They know what they're walking into. We have the schedule. So why don't we look at them right now and get it up on our monitor here. There's the first one for Team Jacobs. They start against Germany, then USA. Then you got a bit of a gauntlet, David. You've got Sweden, Switzerland. Then you look down at Great Britain as well. You finish off against Norway. I know that game against Italy will be supercharged and important as well. No free bingo spaces.
Well, there just isn't. You know, I think that's, like I mentioned, that's where world curling is at. There's such good teams, and top to bottom, when you look at those teams there, they've all got such quality. They're all in the Grand Slams. They're all regular appearances at World Championships. They've got experiences. So, you know, I think we just need to look at this and, hey, we've got to bring our A game. This is what it's going to be. We've got to, you know, game a day or thereabouts, and we've got to bring our best foot every single day. That's what it's going to take.
Those times are all Eastern times, so for those 3 a.m. Eastern times, put the coffee on and wake up with us for coverage. Let's take a look at Team Homan's schedule. She's making her third consecutive appearance at the Olympics and wanting to find a way into the playoffs, no doubt. Number one team on the planet. She's been so solid. There it is right there, David, as we look over it. Opening against Madeline Dupont, a team she's played at the Olympics before. USA, Great Britain, Switzerland. That'll be a big one, no doubt. And you know, you want to find a way to get in that 1 or 2 spot, don't you? Because, well, you know all about those semifinals at the Olympics as well, so placing will be massive.
It is, and similar with the women's side too. You know, it's a strong field. You know, I know Rachel's looking at this and thinking, you know, same as most teams, you want to start well. But I think for Rachel and the team, it's just getting to know that ice. You know, as soon as they can get the ice reading in there, they're going to make a lot of shots. They're the best team in the world, and we know when they're, you know, dialed in and comfortable with getting the ice in the rocks, that they're going to make a lot of shots. So I think that's going to be the critical component, is just getting into the groove of what do we have in front of us here, and how do we make the most of what it is, and then we're going to make a lot of shots.
What do we know about the conditions in Cortina? It's an old venue. I think Mark Callum is making the ice there, a fellow Scottish lad from World Curling.
Yeah, it's been interesting just talking to, I was speaking to Hans Wuthrich there, about the building. You know, we had the World Juniors there last year, but the test event didn't quite go to plan. We didn't have the air handling unit working that will be in place for the games. So the test event probably didn't get the proper test. And that's maybe the concern. But, the reality is, you know, we've got Greg Owasco, Mark Callan, best people in the business, and they will figure it out. I've got no doubt that it's going to be good there. You know, the World Championships in 2010, and this was air handling that was installed. It was really good. The ice there was great. Dave Murdoch made the ice. Kevin Cooey won that event. So I've got no concern we're going to have good conditions. I think it's just a case of, like, what is it exactly? How much curl we're going to have? What's the speed? Let's get adjusted, right?
Well, we know World Curling has regulations around how much curl there is, so we'll see how that plays out, David.
That's true. That's very true. So between 4 and 5 feet.
Right, exactly. Hey, one last quick one. Crazy to think about how life can work, where 1 minute you're in a 2014 Olympic final against Team Jacobs, and now you're in the red and white leading Team Jacobs into the Olympics. Have you wrapped your head around that and the gifts of life, David?
Well, that's sliding doors sometimes.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's fascinating where life can take you, and I'm super enjoying this job. Just very driven to be successful and help our teams get that success. But it was interesting, actually, a year ago, myself and Victor went to the Sault Ste. Marie to work with Brad and EJ. So there's the gold medalist, the silver medalist, and the bronze medalist from Sochi, all sitting around the table. We looked at each other, just laughed. We're like, who'd have thought this would happen? So, yeah, it's interesting where life takes you at times.
Brilliant stuff. All on Team Canada now, which we are glad about, no doubt. David Murdoch with Curling Canada on the pregame show. As we count down to first rocks here, we'll take a break, and we'll be back. Thanks for doing this, David. All right.